led them on 4 drives at the end of the game, either win or tie games. What do you see from Syracuse overtime?
Well, you know, they're it's pretty obvious what they want to do. I mean, they want to, you know, and Coach Marone's coached some pretty good quarterbacks. You know, a couple years ago he had a pretty good one. You know, they want to control the game. You know, they want to get in the huddle and run pro-style stuff and beat you with formations and, you know, grind the clock out and, you know, get first downs. And that's what they did last year, and they had some success with it. I think they ended up with 260 yards against us last year. Converted on some big third downs, you know, and ate some clock up. Whatever defense you're running, whatever offense you're running, third downs, you got to get off the field, you know. So we got to do a good job when we're putting third down situations and getting off the field and creating turnovers, you know. And if they want to grind it and run the ball on 3rd and 3, then we need to be able to stop them, you know. And then if they're behind or if it's a 2-minute situation, they're capable of doing it, but that's not what really they want to do, you know. So our job is to try to get up on them and get them out of rhythm, and then, you know, if they do happen to be in a 2-minute situation, much like Syracuse or UConn was at the end of the half, then we need to be able to stop them.
If you haven't seen a game, what's the first stat you would look at to see what happened, or to try to understand? Is there
what game?
Any
like
game.
Any game?
Any game. Yeah, I mean, you know, Syracuse beats
the score is probably where you want to start with, you know?
Yeah, but how do they figure out maybe how they got there, or whether there's a thing? Is there one thing that interests you?
Yeah. How many plays is something that's pretty important to me. You know, how many plays they got off. You know, and then you look at turnovers, you look at third downs, you look at how many times they punted, that sort of thing.
Not the normal stuff that people look at, which is
everybody wants to know how many yards you have, but all that's indicative of how many plays you ran. If you got a lot of yards on a small amount of plays, then, you know, yards per play is pretty important. That's a big one. The amount of first downs that the team had in the game, which, you know, that can have a direct result of what your time of possession is. Time of possession is probably the last one I look at.
Coach, on an 8 o'clock start, you know, and being on the road, is it difficult to, you know, keep the guys busy, or what is the schedule?
Yeah, it is, which I don't know what that schedule is yet. When we played here against LSU, it was 8 o'clock. You know, we backed everything up, you know, and we didn't get done here until about 7 o'clock, and we didn't go out to the hotel until about 8 o'clock, so we backed it way up. We let them sleep in until 11, and then we did lunch and meetings, and it shortened the day that way. You know, the flight schedule's been set for quite a while, so, you know, we're leaving early, which means we got a full night Friday there, or Thursday, and all day Friday. So, you know, that's something that we talked about today, and we will continue to talk about over the next 2 days of how we deal with that, because you don't want them laying around in bed for 20 hours. So we'll figure that out.
Was this past week the first time some of these guys like took off and went home or left town since the season started?
I hope.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't want them to go to Florida or Texas or any of that. So if they were close, you know, like Ohio, or, you know, some guys went up to Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania and Maryland, you know, so which was fine. You know, we checked class Friday, and if they wanted to leave Friday afternoon and come back Sunday morning, that was fine with us, just as long as they went within somewhat close driving distance. And then we showed up here Sunday, and I was the only one late. I was a minute late. Came in at 3:31.
Is there punishment for being late?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. No, it was good. I was actually only about 30 seconds late. So.
Do you enforce any kind of punishment for guys showing up late to your meetings or practices or anything?
Now you're putting me on the spot here. I mean, it's fine. I mean, if you have a good excuse and you call ahead of time, then we'll make it work. You got class, we'll make it work.
Did you have a good excuse?
We had technical difficulties on the airplane in Chicago, so, I mean, it wasn't my fault. we left a lot of margin for error, and I missed him by 30 seconds. So.
Would you already talked about, obviously you have to go on the road. Would you have rather had some more road games spread out through the beginning part of the season as opposed to going on the road 4 or 6 times?
Nah, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I mean, you know how many you're going to play at home and how many you're going to play on the road. It doesn't matter. Worry about what you can control, and have a plan for it.
Have you had many dome games in your experience?
Last one was Tulane, which ironically, Syracuse was there a couple of weeks ago, and the difference, the difference being when we're at Tulane about 3 years ago, it was about 25, 30 degrees inside because they had the air conditioner set on like 20 because the Saints and the Cowboys were playing the next day, so they tried to get it as cold as they possibly could when they put all those people in there and it got hot. So it was cold, but we won. And then, I hear up there, the more people you put in it, the hotter it's going to get. So we're going to be in the game that gets hot. Whereas before, we were in the game that they were cooling it off, and there was about 500 people there.
Is Reed ready to start playing again, or?
He's practicing, yeah. He's practicing, yeah. Now what his job becomes is be better than the guys that are in front of him. I mean, that's, do you lose your starting job to an injury? It depends on how you play once you get back. We're going to play the guys that are playing the best. Whether it's because of an injury or because of performance or, because somebody got better and beat you out. Whatever that is. I mean, we're going to hold you accountable for what your actions are. Bowie was our starter and he went down and Garrison went in and we're pretty happy with his performance, so he'll start. And now it's Bowie's job to, when he gets in there, take advantage of his opportunities and do what you got to do to get yourself ahead of him.
Then you weren't happy with your offensive line for the last week. Is anything in store there as far as moving guys around?
Same thing. It's if Spain was. We put him in because we didn't feel like Egger was playing very good, and Egger's he's came back and did a little bit better, so we'll probably start him. If one of those guys is not playing up to par, then we'll probably put Spain in there.
Can he go in anywhere except center?
Yeah, he's not going to center. He could go right guard, right tackle. We'll keep him on the right side, because that's where he's been practicing since last year, or since camp started. So we could possibly move him to left tackle. Yeah, we move him around. We're trying not to do that with him. That's not fair to a young kid, but it's whatever you got to do to get your best players out there would do.
Danny, what about their linebackers? A couple of them seem like they play a whole bunch over the field, different packages, stuff like that, but they seem like they have 3 or 4 really good guys in different situations.
They lost 2 all-conference guys from last year, which were really good. The freshman kid, 35, he's got some big play potential to him. I mean, they'll blitz him a bunch. He's got 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. 11's a rangy kid, not as tall and massive as 33 was for UConn. I mean, that dude was enormous, but 11's got some range to him. 33's active, runs around. They got guys that can make plays. Those guys haven't played very much, so they're going to get better as they play more. Their safety's a guy that's always around the ball. Does a good job. They'll play him back down. They'll move him around a good bit. They'll get better on defense. They're well coached, and much like our guys, we're well coached on defense. Had select guys coming back from last year, which we were pretty good on defense last year, but it still takes time in order to get them to mesh together. Which I think they're probably about the same, place that we're at defensively.
When you play against pressures as much as you anticipate they will, do you try to either knock them out of it or do you try to take advantage of it?
Handle it.
Handle it?
Just handle it, because you're not going to get them out of it. it's what they do. It's like saying that we're not going to throw the ball very much, you know. It's what they do, and they're good at it, you know. So we got to be able to handle it, and when we bring it, they bring it. We got to be able to recognize it, sort out the fronts, figure out which guys are coming, block them, and then Gino needs to understand when he's got to get that ball out and when he's okay to hang on with it. All right, guys.